Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
And it is time for the UFC 223 full fight card breakdown and predictions. I told you guys, now that we got Patreon going, I'm gonna start doing the full card, not just the main card like usual, and it's all gonna be 100% free. So with that being said, I'll cut this off after I do the early fight pass prelims on YouTube. And if you're interested in the breakdown for the Fox Sports 1 prelims or the main card even, you can go check those out on Patreon for free at patreon.com/fulltimemma. Just go check it out, click play, and it'll be the full video. But with that being said, you guys see the predictions. I'm not gonna hide those from you, but now let's get into the breakdown of the UFC 223 early prelims. Of course, UFC 223 is going to be on pay-per-view between KHABIB Nurmagomedov, the main event, and Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson and KHABIB are going to be fighting for the lightweight title. We've got another title fight on the line between Rose Namajunas and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. A lot of good fights on the pay-per-view, but I've already did the predictions and the breakdown for those, so you can go check that out separately. This is going to focus on the fight pass early prelims and the Fox Sports 1 prelims. So with that being said, we're going to start off the first fight of the night on the UFC Fight Pass prelims between Kyle Bosniak and Magomed Sharapov. What is his first name? It's a beat, I believe, Magomed Sharapov. So with that being said, let's get into the breakdown. Let me pull up my notes on y'all. See, yeah, I gotta put those off the That's my cheat sheet. That's what all the notes I wrote doing these predictions. So that's what I'm going to be reading off of. But with that being said, the breakdown for Kyle Bosniak versus Zabit Magomed Sharapov is Kyle Bosniak is 8-2 as a mixed martial artist, as a professional. So he's got 10 fights. He's got 8 wins and 2 losses. In the UFC, he's 2-2. He's 31 years of age. He's going to be fighting Zabit Magomed Sharapov, who's got 15 professional fights overall, and he's 14-1. So he's only lost 1 time. Zabit is coming from Dagestan. He's the younger fighter, only 27 years old, and he's undefeated in the UFC at 2-0. So I'm going to pick the younger, more experienced fighter from Dagestan, Zabit Magomed Sharapov, to beat Kyle Bosniak here. Kyle Bosniak in his last loss was taken down 8 times, and so he's coming off a win over Brandon Davis, but still, he's going to be going against a pretty high-level wrestler, and I'm picking Magomed Sharapov to get the W. Now let's get into Devin Clark versus Michael Rodriguez. Man, no disrespect, but this guy Michael Rodriguez has been fighting some cans before the Contender Series. And you guys know I am not a disrespectful guy, but like I was doing research for these fights like I normally do for the main card. So I'm on SureDog looking up Michael Rodriguez's opponents. The guy's like 0-4. Holy flying. I think I actually, yeah. But I'm actually going to show you guys the fucking proof. I had to pull these up, bro. Like, this was legit. Surprising to me. Check out these records on Michael Rodriguez's opponents. Hopefully they'll come up. Let's see. Actually, I don't think they're popping up over here on the screen. But either way, I can pull them up on SureDog since we're doing this way. Check this out. Okay, so here's Kyle Bosniak and Zabit Magomed Sharapov. Here's Devin Clark and Michael Rodriguez. So now I'm going to go to a new tab, and we're going to go to Michael Rodriguez, not just Michael. Okay, there we go. Michael Rodriguez, MMA. Now check this out. His nickname is Slow. That can't be good. But check this out. So Jamel Jones, he fought in Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. Now Alec Hubin, this guy fought before. 5-4 as a professional. You know what I'm saying? Not the best record, about 500. Before that, James Dicer, 0-4. Before that, Hector Sanchez, 3-14. That's all I'm saying. So this fight wasn't too hard for me to predict either as far as that is concerned. Let's get back to my predictions. Pull those back up right here. Devin Clark, he's going to be fighting Devin Clark, Michael Rodriguez is, and Devin Clark trains out of Jackson Wink, I believe. He trains with John Jones. He's fought Jan Blachowicz. He's 2-2 in the UFC, so Devin Clark's got UFC experience. He's fought Jan Blachowicz, who actually just beat Jimmy Manuwa to get into the top 5 of the light heavyweight division. So Devin Clark, coming into this fight, he's got I think, you know, it's his fight to lose. Like I said, he trains with high-level guys. He's fought in the UFC against ranked opponents, and he's fighting, you know, this is a light heavyweight fight, so anything can happen. You know, the heavier you go, the more chance that anyone can really get knocked out. But at the same time, I think Devin Clark should have the skills advantage in this fight. He's also the younger fighter, Devin Clark. Even though he's less experienced technically by one fight, he's got more UFC experience. So I think Devin Clark should win that fight. I don't want to say it's going to be easy, because I don't want to say that about a fighter. All I'm saying is we just pulled up Michael Rodriguez's opponent's head. So Devin Clark getting the W, in my opinion, in that fight. Now we're going to go to Bec Rawlings versus Ashley Evans Smith. In this fight, Bec Rawlings is 7-7 as a professional, and she's 2-4 in the UFC. So she's lost 4 fights in the UFC, only won 2, and she's 500 overall. Ashley Evans Smith 5-3 overall, and she's 2-3 in the UFC. So both of these girls, Bec Rawlings is 29, Ashley Evans Smith 30 years old, so their age is pretty even. Bec Rawlings is riding a 3-fight losing streak to Paige Van Zandt, Tisha Torres, and most recently Jessica Rose Clark. Ashley Evans Smith is riding a 2-fight losing streak, but she's 1-2 in her last 3 fights. But she's riding 2-fight skid to Caitlin Vieira and Sarah Moras. Now, just hearing those names, you can tell Bec Rawlings used to fight at 115. She fought Paige Van Zandt, and since Ashley Evans Smith fought Caitlin Vieira, she used to fight at 135. Caitlin Vieira is a pretty big 135 or so. Ashley Evans Smith should have the size advantage in this fight, and she's got a split decision win over Marion Renault and also formerly undefeated Veronica Macedo. So I feel like Ashley Evans Smith has beat some higher level opponents, probably fought some higher level opponents, or at least beat, you know, with the win over Marion Renault. Even though it was a split decision, still a very impressive win. And Bec Rawlings, man, she's been fighting some tough girls and Jessica Rose Clark and stuff like that, but I think Ashley Evans Smith is going to pull off the W in this fight. Going to be a fun fight, that's one thing for sure. It's going to be a fun scrap. Bec Rawlings and Ashley Evans Smith, I'm sure it's going to be a, you know, they're going to show up to scrap. And with that being said, man, I got Ashley Evans Smith. These girls could very well be fighting for their job in the UFC. You know, one of them's on a 2-fight losing streak, one of them's on a 3-fight losing streak. They're both under 500 as far as their UFC records are concerned. But I think Ashley Evans Smith will get the W here. But it is what it is. Let's move to the main event of the early fight pass prelims. Artem Lobov, the GOAT, versus Bruce Leroy, Alice Caceres or Caceres. I heard someone saying Caceres recently, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Caceres. I'm not sure, but that's threw me off. Caceres sounds like Kakarot. Anyways, Alex Caceres is going to be fighting Artem Lobov. Alex Caceres is 13-11. I'll just say Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy is 13-11 as a pro, 8-9 in the UFC at 29 years of age. He's fought a lot in the UFC. He's been real active. To be only 29 years old, he's got 17 UFC fights. So Artem Lobov is 14-14, dead even, 2-4 in the UFC at 31 years old. So this kind of like Bec Rawlings and Ashley Smith, these guys don't have the best UFC records or even the best records overall, but they're fan favorites as far as, you know, people like seeing them fight. Artem Lobov and Bruce Leroy, both, you know, these are guys at the UFC. This is probably the people's main event. Artem Lobov, of course, Conor McGregor, he always shows up to fight. He's a fighter's fighter. He said you should call his resume the Warrior's Bible because he's not a guy that pads his record. He goes anywhere, anyone, any place, and his record shows it. Neither one of these guys are ranked featherweights, but that's probably correct. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna be a fun fight. I'm not, you know, there's not going to be no wrestle fucking. It's going to be probably some striking, which fans like to see, you know. And there's Bruce Leroy, he's a character. Artem Lobov, he's not only a character, but he's Conor McGregor's teammate. So it's just a fun fight. So with that being said, though, I think Artem Lobov is going to get the W. Artem Lobov has been fighting higher level competition and training with Conor McGregor. Enough said. No, but actually, this should be a really fun fight. I do expect Lobov to get the W unless Alex Caceres, you know, comes in with his hair braided, which would show me he's taking the fight seriously. I can't wait for the fight, but yeah, Alex Caceres, this guy, he's got the afro, and to me, if you got long hair like Benson Henderson or afro like Sean O'Malley, my fucking boy, or Alex Caceres, I just know your hair can get in your eyes. So whenever I see fighters show up like that, I just don't think they're taking it very serious. And even if they are, you know, you saw Sean O'Malley showed up with the braids. That let me know he's taking it serious. He's trying to get a W. He ain't got no fucking time oh, people think my hair look cool. Yeah, but no, I'm trying to win this fight. I'll unbraid my shit right after the fight. Y'all can see me in the post-fight press conference or in the media. I'll have my hair out for you guys, but I'm here to whoop some ass, so I'm getting my hair braided. So that's going to tell me a lot about this fight if Alex Caceres comes in with shorter hair or with his hair braided. But Artem Lobov has fought Cub Swanson, Andre Fili recently, and before that he had a win over, I forget whose name. But since we're doing it this way, I'm recording through OBS now, which means we can pull this up. Normally I would just be stuck on my prediction screen, so let's check this out. Alex Caceres versus Artem Lobov. Who did Artem Lobov beat before his 2-fight skid? I know he beat Chris Avila, but he got another win after Chris Avila. Artem Lobov, the GOAT, has a win over, it was a pretty talented fighter, I remember. Teruto Ishihara. I mean, Teruto Ishihara, he's not a world beater, but he's fighting out of Team Alpha Male. Pretty fun. So Artem Lobov went in there and beat Teruto Ishihara. Then he fought Cub Swanson. Very, very talented, experienced striker, Cub Swanson. So he lost to Cub Swanson, fought Team Alpha Male's Andre Fili. Hey, this is going to be a step down from those 2 fights, but I do think Artem Lobov will come in and get the W. Now, with that being said, let's take the time to motherfucking thank the full-time patrons, because this is where the show is going. If you want to see me break down these other fights, the Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight, the Evan Dunham OAM fight, Joe Lazan, Chris Grudemaker, Ray Board versus Brandon Moreno, I'm going to continue this video. Go check it out on Patreon, completely free. I'm going to stop it here on YouTube now, and then we're going to continue this video over on Patreon. And I'm just doing that, you know, you might hear me do that in the future. It's just to help get you guys just to go check it out and show you how it's going to be free. I know a lot of people hear Patreon and they automatically assume that you have to pay for Patreon, but that's not the case. What I'm going to do in the future, I'll explain it one last time for you guys who might have missed it. Even if you can't afford $4.99 a month, everything's still going to be free. It's just going to be on like a 2 or 3 delay, or maybe, you know, 5-day delay depending on the series. But still, it's going to be 100% free, and it's going to allow me to, like I said, this is the first time I really ever did full card predictions. I normally don't do the fight pass and the prelims, you know, because I've got another job. But now that, you know, I'm starting this Patreon and stuff, it's going to really help me be able to dedicate to this channel. So I'm going to start doing full card predictions and stuff, and it's going to be over on Patreon. And as I said, you know, I know a lot of y'all are broke like me, so if you can't afford it, it's still free. So go check it out. Just hit play, patreon.com/fulltime MMA, and I'm about to start breaking down the rest of these Fox Sports 1 prelims. Thanks for checking out the Fight Pass early prelim breakdown with your boy Full-Time MMA, aka Taco Bell Wani. Alright, YouTube family, I'll see y'all in the next video. Patreon family, let's get into. And as always, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell right next to it so you're notified every time I upload a video. I'm out.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking DOWG!